Section 4. The League of Nations. Introduction. In this study section, you will learn about the League of Nations, which was one of the covenants of the Treaty of Versailles. This body was saddled with responsibilities of maintaining global peace. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to 1. Describe the League of Nations. 2. Highlight the achievements of the League. 3. Explain the causes of the League's failure. Overview of the League of Nations. The League of Nations was one of the covenants of the Treaty of Versailles. This body was saddled with responsibilities of maintaining global peace. President Woodrow Wilson of USA was the author of this idea that it was necessary to have this system on ground if the world was to be made safe from future catastrophes. After he returned home, he pleaded with the Senate to approve the Versailles Treaty but rejected it. So, the USA could not become the members of the League of Nations. Germany and Russia also could not become the members of the League of Nations till 1934. Aims of the League. The League aimed at preventing wars through peaceful settlement of disputes among member nations. Secondly, it desired to preserve and protect the independence of member nations by promoting international understanding and cooperation. Organs of the League. The League from inception commenced with two principal organs, namely the Assembly and the Council. The Assembly. The membership of the Assembly comprised all those powers that worked for the defeat of Germany and her allies. A number of neutral powers also joined the League after invitation. Each member nation sent 3 representatives to the Assembly but exercised only 1 vote. The Council. This consisted of 8 members, 4 permanent and 4 non-permanent members. The Council met 3 or 4 times in a year and discussed important matters relating to the maintenance of international peace and stability. The Council's important resolutions require the unanimous approval of all its members to become effective. In the event of acts of aggression by the member nations, the League recommended economic sanctions against them. The League headquarters was located in Geneva, Switzerland. The members of the League elected the Secretary General to conduct the meetings of the League. The World Court. This organ consisted of 15 judges who were mostly drawn from member countries. Its headquarters were located at Hague. The World Court heard appeals from member countries regarding boundary disputes with their neighbors. The World Court disposed of many cases relating to boundary disputes and thus prevented the parties from going to war. The decisions of the World Court were binding on both the parties relating to the dispute. International Labour Office. This organ was established for the purpose of drawing the attention of member countries to the conditions of labor and suggest improvements. The office worked for the improvement of the conditions of laborers in many countries. It recommended many measures to be adopted by member countries for improving the welfare of laborers. World Health Organization. This body was funded to improve the standards of health enjoyed by the peoples of many countries. The WHO during this period fought malnutrition among children in many countries and also worked for the eradication of many contagious diseases such as malaria, cholera, and smallpox. The International Boundaries Commission. Boundary dispute no doubt was discussed at the Versailles Peace Conference after the World War I. As a result of the sensitivity of boundary disputes to breach of peace, the League from the outset set up the International Boundaries Commission to adjudicate many boundary disputes brought before it by the member nations. It rendered great assistance to the League in settling many border problems. Achievements of the League of Nations. The most remarkable achievement of the League of Nations was that it averted wars for the next 20 years after it was set up. Besides, countries large and small frequently depended upon her for the settlement of disputes. The decisions taken by the League were to a certain extent respectively obeyed by the member nations. The following disputes were solved by the League of Nations. 1. Dispute between Finland and Sweden over Halland Island in 1921. 2. Dispute between Germany and Poland over Silesia in 1921. 3. Dispute between Greece and Bulgaria in 1925. 4. Dispute between Iraq and Turkey over Mosul oil field in 1926. 5. It arbitrated in the dispute between Greece and Italy during the Corfu crisis and averted a possible war between Yugoslavia and Albania. 6. The League successfully supervised the administration of the colonies coming under the mandate system. 7. It helped Austria, Hungary, and Greece with economic aid and brought about the resettlement of the refugees. Causes of the League's failure. The League indeed succeeded in preventing wars for 20 years, but this achievement and others earlier mentioned pale into insignificance as a result of the outbreak of the World War II. It will be recalled that from the outset the big powers gave cooperation grudgingly to the League. Consequently, the League became a toothless bulldog, and this contributed to its failure. Other causes of its failure are highlighted thus. 1. The League had no military force of its own to enforce its decisions on herring member nations when they flouted the international laws. 2. The League could not instill and enforce discipline. For instance, when Japan was branded as aggressor after our invasion of Manchuria, the Japanese delegate in the League of Nations walked out. 3. The League also failed to bring about a satisfactory disarmament. For instance, Germany began to rearm herself in 1935 and thereby violated one of the clauses of the Treaty of Versailles. Studies section summary. In this studies section, you learn that A. The League of Nations was set up after the First World War to guarantee world peace and prevent outbreak of war. B. The Assembly and the Council were the major organs of the League. C. Apart from the major organs, the League also had sub-organs such as World Court, ILO, WHO, and IBC. D. The League prevented war for 20 years. E. The League was unfortunately a toothless bulldog because it had no military force of its own to enforce its decisions on herring member nations when they flouted the international laws. This is the end of study section 4. Thanks for listening.